Welcome to another stream. Yeah, it's been a while, 2 days, not so long, but I want to continue my journey of being a capable backend developer who can use FastAPI to build really nice solutions for some of my clients. And yeah, I'm seeing where I can already apply this cool tech. So I want to try to study query parameter models today, and if you will, join me on this journey, and yeah, let's study this together. So they're saying if you have a group of query parameters that are related, you can use a Pydantic model to declare them. This would allow you to reuse the model in multiple places and also declare validations and metadata for all the parameters at once. I think this is so cool and very good. So they go on to say this is supported since FastAPI version 0.115.0. Okay, so saying when you have a group of query parameters which are related, simply use a Pydantic model to declare them. And I'm assuming they are going to give us really good examples down. So let's see how this is. They said this would allow you to reuse the model in multiple places, declare validations and metadata for all the parameters at once. Okay, which is something I think if you've been programming for a long time, you'd know where this is going. Okay, so let's continue this. Query parameters with the Pydantic model. They say declare the query parameters that you need in a Pydantic model, then declare the parameter as query. So they have, of course, we know this. Okay, from typing, import annotated and literal. Literal is new, but I'm assuming they're going to explain to us what it is down there. But literal should be something like a string. Then from FastAPI, they import FastAPI and query. From Pydantic, they get import base model. Then we have field. So we have two new things, literal and field. So let's see what they're all about. So we have an app equals to FastAPI, an instance of FastAPI. Then after that, we have a class called filter params, which inherits from base model, making filter params a Pydantic model. We have a number of public greater than 0, less than or equal to 100. We have offset, an integer, okay, text in a field. We have here a value called 0, greater than or equals to 0. I'm guessing these are 100 and 0 are default values, but we shall see the explanation down. Then we have order by, a literal having two values, created at and updated at. And I'm guessing the default value is created at. Then tags, a list of strings. And initially it is an empty list. So I'm going to assume that this literal simply represents strings, and one of them is acceptable. Only one of them is acceptable. So this is the Pydantic model. After that, we have the query parameter. So the query parameter is now filter query, okay, and it's annotated, okay, by filter params. And of course, to show that it's a query parameter, we use query. Then of course, they return filter query. All right. So they say, so we need to maybe understand it. They say FastAPI will extract the data for each field from the query parameters in the request and give you the Pydantic model you defined. Okay. So they're saying check the docs. We need to first run this before checking the docs. We can make this longer. Then run the server. This should give me what I'm looking for. So let's go to documentation, okay, like they say. Open a new tab, paste. I need to see this. Okay, we have the documentation. So that's what they say. They're saying you can see the query parameters in the docs UI at that. Okay. Let's go right here and see what's going on. So if I expand this, okay, if I expand this, you see we have limit default value 100. So meaning I was actually right to guess right. If we scroll back, we see that. So to understand, because now we need to understand what field is. Okay, we need to understand what literal is. Okay, and we can do a quick Google search. Okay, I'm not sure if they explained it. Maybe they explain it down here. Okay, but if they don't, we're going to have to search. But I'm just curious. Let me just do it right now because I want to continue through the documentation when I understand what is going on. So maybe even couldn't actually ask the AI. So I can simply open here and say field in Pydantic. Wow, this seems slow. So as it searches out that, I can now continue studying this. You see, so it's an integer. Why? Because of this annotation. Then we go ahead to have one. Of course, default value is 100 and the maximum is 100. How does it know that the maximum value is 100? Should be from this, less than or equals to 100, but greater than or equals to 0. Of course, we know GT and LE because of what we studied in our previous streams. Let's see Pydantic. Okay, if we can expand this. So they say fields. In this section, we'll go through the available mechanism to customize Pydantic model fields, default values, etc. So read this paragraph. We're saying to do so, the field function is used a lot. Okay, looks like we need to first read this and understand it. Let me repeat. In this section, we will go through the available mechanisms to customize Pydantic model fields. So these are methods to customize the model fields. Okay. What do you customize? Default values, JSON schema metadata, and constraints. So you're saying to do so, the field function is used a lot and behaves the same way as the standard library field function for data classes. I think that, yeah, this makes sense. If you know field of data classes, okay? Let me just go back here. I want to open this in a new tab. Okay, so if I open this, you see, they say this is the Python official documentation. So I'm making this bigger. They're saying data classes dot field. So they're saying for common and simple use cases, no other functionality is required. There are, however, some data class features that require additional per field information. Okay. There are, however, some data class features that require additional per field information. To satisfy the need for this additional information, you can replace the default field value with a call to the provided field function. Yes, so what I'm understanding from this is that field is simply used to add additional constraints to your attribute. Okay, so we can do the same thing for literal. Okay, if I come here to Pydantic and I just search literal, let's see if they give us something. Why have they not shown me what I want? Is it somewhere here? Okay, no, it's right here. I've done a Control F, but I need an explanation. Okay. All right, let's go there. Literal in Is it Pydantic? Was it Pydantic or fast or typing? Let's go back. Literal was actually in typing module. Okay, not Pydantic. Sorry. So I was actually doing a search in the wrong place. Literal in typing Python module. Of course, we could have asked AI. Okay. So like we see here what AI is telling us, but I just want to first of all get the source truth from the actual documentation. Because right now at this stage, I don't have knowledge. Okay. I'm not able to decide whether what AI is giving me is correct or wrong. So I go to documentation, see what it says. Then later when I'm knowledgeable enough, I can use AI to do anything. So in this section out level of literal types, which is simply strings, okay? So if I can expand this, okay, says literal types indicate a variable has a specific and concrete, not strings, but I like this explanation. Literal types indicate that a variable has a specific and concrete value. For example, if we define some variable foo to have literal 3, we are declaring that foo must be exactly equal to 3 and no other value. Oh, I now get it. So literal simply means the variable must have that value exactly and nothing else. Let's see what AI says. The literal type in Python's typing module allows for type hints that specify a variable must hold a specific concrete value rather than just a general type. So the goal of literal is to a variable must hold a specific concrete value. So which means in this case, the order by variable can only and only hold created at or updated at, nothing else. And its default value is created at. Yeah, this is nice. And of course, we know this other one, a list of strings. And default value is an empty list. So if we go back and cancel the document, remove the documentation, go back to this, okay, we see that, yeah, limit, default value is 100, maximum is 100, offset is an integer, and it's also a query. Limit by is also a query. So offset is an integer, it's a query parameter. Query, so order by is a string and the query parameter. Then we have tags. The default value is an empty list. So it's an array of strings, or a list of strings, and is a query parameter. So this is how to easily interpret this. And of course, they give us responses, okay? When it is successful, we get a 200 code, we get a JSON string back, and then we can get a validation error in any case. Yeah, and I like that. So let's continue. So like we already know this, they're saying FastAPI will extract the data for each field from the query parameters in the request and give you the Pydantic model you defined. So maybe we can test this. We can use this endpoint /items and we see what's up. Since all these have default values, let's see what we get. So localhost 81/items, okay. All right, I think I'm running something else somewhere, okay. I have another app running, but is FastAPI running on that? Let me try to do this, okay. Instead of using localhost, I'm going to do this, okay. This port number /items. Yeah, there it is. So we have our default values: limit 100, offset 0, order by, created at, tags that. So if I change and I say question mark, offset is equals to 30, you see offset now changes to 30. And of course, we know this. I won't bore you doing testing out for limit, order by, and tags because we have done this over and over again. Okay. Yeah. So it's nice that even now I'm now seeing things that can I say it's just becoming very easy, okay, to understand certain things, because in every subsequent documentation, they repeat things from the previous documentations so that they reinforce the concept in your mind. And by when they introduce something, it becomes very easy to understand. Okay. So yeah, let me go back to documentation and continue this nice stuff. And of course, we have explained this. Your filter query becomes now all this, okay? And use annotated to specify the annotation type, okay? And then also annotated helps you to add metadata like query. So query simply tells FastAPI that this is a query parameter. And I think because of this, then you don't have to struggle putting specific, what is it called? Specific validation, okay? Right here, because ideally this is how it would look like without the model, okay? If I copy this, okay, and maybe paste it above here, you would see the difference. So I say this maybe read items too, okay? Then I say, okay, one, let me just call it one since it's the first. Ideally, what would happen would be this. I would say I need limit, okay, which is an integer, comma, offset, which is an integer, order by, okay, which is a literal, like that. But in addition to this, okay, in addition to this, I would need to put things like, for example, to add like metadata for this, I would have to remove this, okay. Let me first give here a value quickly. Just copy both of these to remove these squiggly lines. Paste, okay. So here, I'd have to say annotated, okay, open brackets, put that this is an integer, then say this is a query, okay. Then now start having these values, okay. I say maybe minimum, something like maybe minimum equals to, I don't know, 100 validation, okay. That's what I'm trying to say. You'd have to put validation, put default value, this one to be 100, okay. Then after that, I do the same for offset, do the same for literal, and you get, even if you had a tool formatting this code for you, you get the params would be too long, okay. So I find this actually very clean, okay, this, by just grouping all this, because assuming I wanted to annotate also offset, which is an integer, I have to come here and say annotated, okay, specify that this it's an integer, and then specify it's a query parameter. And after that, I put the default value, okay. Then I can see maybe it is greater than or greater than maybe 0, okay. By the here, we'd also say GE, something like that, okay. And maybe GE, this actually is GT, okay. So I say GT 0, greater than 0, but less than or equals to 100, okay, like that. Then I come all the way and then, come on, too much work, guys, okay. So I think you already see the benefits of using a base model by grouping limit, offset, order by, and tags into just a base model like this, okay, and then having it here in annotated. Very simple and so nice. I now understand the benefits of using annotated. I hope you now do. So let's continue with this. Sometimes I think it's just important to really, think about it and understand the importance of it. And now I really see. So this is the documentation they're giving us. Okay. So now they're saying forbid extra query parameters. I see a number of you are watching. How is it? Are you enjoying? Are you learning something? They say in some, okay, let's go on. Forbid extra query parameters. In some special cases, probably not very common, you might want to restrict the query parameters that you want to receive. Okay. In some special cases, which is not a common thing to do, you might want to restrict query parameters that you want to receive. So in case I want to do that, they're saying you can use Pydantic's model configuration to forbid any extra fields. Okay. So we see the highlighted line here, okay? They're saying for model config, model underscore config, and it's a dictionary which takes in, which has a key called extra and the value is forbid, okay? So yeah, let's add it to ours too. So I'll copy this and paste just right above. Come on, this is wrong. It's model, I can now type it by myself. Model underscore config, it's a dictionary, it had a key code extra and a value code forbid. Okay, looks like Copilot is smart enough. So I'll now go back here, okay, and try to understand, because this is the only thing they've added actually to the code. So you can go back and they're saying if a client tries to send some extra data in the query parameters, they will receive an error response. Okay. So they're saying, for example, if a client tries to send a tool query parameter with a value of plumbus, like, so we have the endpoint, the protocol and domain, slash items, question mark, limit equals to 10, and tool equals plumbus. They say they will receive an error response telling them that the query parameter tool is not allowed. Okay. Ideally, you can only send limit, offset, order by, or tags. Yeah, this is good. Very good. Instead of allowing people spamming you with useless information. Okay. Why would you spam me with useless information? Let's test this. I like this config. So I hope my stuff is still running. See some errors. So many of them. Wow, let me cancel this. Looks like it was actually still running. So let me go back right here to the server. Okay, if I run this again, it works. Okay, if I say and limit, okay, I want to test out something before we go to what we just read. 101. Okay, it fails. Say input should be less than or equals to 100, which is cool. Just want to be sure it works. I don't know if you guys always have that thing in your mind that scratches you, that tells you, is this true? I think it's a natural thing for a software engineer to try to prove out things. And if someone tells you 1 plus 1 equals to 2, you're like, why is 1 plus 1 equals to 2? You want like to investigate. Is one thing I've realized about us. I don't know if you guys experience the same, or you guys are just straightforward, things just work, and you never doubt or question anything. I find myself questioning things. All right, so let us try it. Okay, if I say limit is maybe like 100, it will pass. Now let me try a query parameter which does not exist. I'll say and. I'll try maybe and. Let's say and cohort equals to 12. Hit enter. Okay, you see we get a detail, a detail, okay, which is a list with the key, like we know. I mean with the dictionary, a list having one dictionary and number of keys, type, lock, message, and input. And we know that the message says extra inputs are not permitted. Okay, what is the input? It was 12, and the query was cohort. Type extra forbidden. Yeah, which is cool. But if I go to our code, okay, and I add this new param code cohort, okay, so I can come here and say, just say cohort. Cohort is a string, okay, just like that. Then go back here and hit enter. You see, cohort is accepted. And of course, right now, it's a must to provide cohort. Let me try to test it because I might be lying to you guys. Okay, let me expand this so you see it better. I remove this and I hit enter. You see, it says field required. Cohort is missing. Okay, cohort must be provided. So again, they say and cohort equals to that, it works. Okay. If I remove any other, maybe if I remove like order by, okay, and maybe give cohort like a default value, cohort equals to 100, save, and come here and hit enter. Okay. We see everything is working. If I remove cohort and hit enter, you see everything else is working. But if I try to put order by, okay, and I say and order underscore by equals to created underscore at, and I hit enter, you see extra inputs are not permitted. You look at that. Yeah, so pretty easy. I don't know what you guys think, but it's easy. I'm happy to know that rich melodies and liners, you're learning something. That's good to know. Yeah, so I can Ctrl Z to put back our order by, remove cohort. Okay, let's not spoil the original creator's idea. When I hit enter, you see, it works pretty well. So if I continue, because they're just explaining that, yeah, and looks like we have come to the end. So in summary, you can use Pydantic models to declare query parameters in FastAPI. And actually, in the real world, you'll find that most of our query parameters are related, and they're trying to they're related, and there are so many attributes, okay, or so many fields, like in this case. And having a limit, offset, ordering by tags is a common thing. It's a common use case actually. Many times you'll have yourself with this kind of stuff. Okay, there's a spoiler alert here. I'm saying spoiler alert, you can also use Pydantic models to declare cookies and headers, but you will read about that later in the tutorial. Can't wait to read that. So if I go back here, you're saying we have looked at query parameter models. What's a query parameter model? It's a simply query parameters defined using a Pydantic model. What does it mean to define query parameters using a Pydantic model? Create a class, okay, which inherits from base model, like this in this case filter params. After that, annotate your query parameter. In this case, it's called filter query with this class, okay. And because you want to add extra information to tell FastAPI that this is actually a query parameter, use annotated, okay, and put the class, okay, then query. So query says we'll tell FastAPI that filter query is actually a query parameter, and we need to use filter params, which is a base model, to perform validation, okay, against each of these fields. Class, then you specify the annotation like this, okay, the annotations, integer, literal, list of strings, and then you can give default values and constraints like this. And you have seen what field is, you know what literal is, okay. If I continue, what else? Yeah, then the next thing we discovered is how to forbid extra parameters, okay, which is this, okay. We can forbid extra parameters using this configuration called model underscore config. Yeah, and that's it. So yeah, thank you all for showing up today. Tomorrow we'll continue with something interesting. So step by step, I'll keep showing you this. We did Python intro, we went to concurrency, async await, and now we're into here. We looked at all this. We looked at path parameters, query parameters, request body, query parameters and string validations, path parameters and numeric validations, query parameter models. Okay, step by step. So tomorrow, something else. Body, multiple parameters. So yeah, I'm not in any rush. I want to learn step by step because yeah, I deal with so many things and I want to learn bit by bit. And soon I'll show you an application which I'm working on. Its front end is actually almost done. Let me see, the front end is done. The only work remaining on the front end is integration and fixing a few things here and there. But the backend is going to be particularly in FastAPI, and I want to build it very soon. But I'm no rush. I'll take, yeah, if you're enjoying this series, yeah, you can hop along every evening and we learn together. So thank you all for showing up.